This is Big Business with Sarah. This podcast guides you to finding what you desire most in life and business, because running a business is very much about your personal development. In this podcast, I'm sharing what my clients ask me and how I help them. Thanks for joining. Welcome back to the podcast, where today we're going to dive deep into the topic of why we are never ready for the next step, and actually the importance of doing things that scare us. I have a lot of experience with this, also with the first part, that I never ever dared to invest in myself, basically, but also the other way around, that I jumped and I thought, you know what? Really, I literally had nothing to lose. So yeah, I just went for it. And so it's also a little bit about my personal experience, but very much so on why I believe that everyone, no exceptions, can always learn more, can always develop more, and seeing your life that way and seeing it in a way that you're never done, that it's never finished, is one of the most freeing mindsets that you can have. So today we will be exploring one of the mantras of Gabby Bernstein about losing your ego and not attaching too much to that ego and to the outcome. I will talk more about that later today. And also, as Mel Robbins says, is you're never going to feel like you're ready. You're never going to feel like you have it all figured out. And so why is this important, to push past our fears, to let go of our ego and take that next step? So I'm going to show you 3 reasons why it's important, and also what is stopping you, but also giving you an example how you can handle that. Very excited about today's episode because it's very much about mindset. And I actually just posted a LinkedIn post, and I saw a comment from someone, and I responded to that, obviously, saying that there was, she worked with a coach who was saying that mindset was the most important thing, and then she sent 3 WhatsApp messages every day, and she believed that would really help people. But I don't believe that that's the only thing. So let me be very clear. I have a method, a structure. I'm talking about that in previous episodes as well, but I do believe that mindset is very important. And personally, I'm working on my mindset every day. It's exhausting. There's no quick wins. I'm very sorry to say this. But let's start with the first point. So the ego and fear. So what does that actually mean? Our ego can often be the root of our fears, especially when it comes to taking risks and stepping out of your comfort zone. And I always call that, to my clients, I'm calling that the danger zone. The ego wants to protect us from failure, rejection, uncertainty. But what it actually does is to hold us back from growth and personal development. So by learning to let go of our attachment to the ego, we can release fear and take action towards our goals. So for example, let's say you're considering starting a new business, or maybe launching a new product, but you feel very nervous and unsure if you're ready. And you may be worried about what others will think of you, or are afraid of making mistakes. This actually happens, to most of my clients. I'm not saying all of my clients, but in a way, when we are diving very deeply, this is most of the time the root of the reason why somebody isn't launching or why the launch doesn't work. So by letting go of your attachment to your ego and embracing vulnerability, and that's very, very difficult, you can approach the new venture with more authenticity and confidence. And you may even connect with your customers on a deeper level and achieve greater success. So, being vulnerable, thinking about what what is actually triggering you is the first step. So I'm going to explain a little bit of a how, and also with an example with a client of mine. And we were talking about launching a new product for her. She didn't want to do anything online. So, I'm not forcing you to offer something online if you don't want that. She didn't want to create a course because everybody is doing that. So, okay, of course, yes, let's do that. Let's create something. And she really created something amazing, actually. I think it was a brilliant idea. And then we actually spoke about launching it. So my method is that you start with, what you have, what you can do, what your talent is, and then actually search for clients that are perfect. And then we made it very, very clear, or then I helped her make it very clear who her ideal client should be. And, somewhere when she was launching in that process, and where she was actually planning to launch for the process, because we're still working on this, she was thinking about a certain group of people, so family members, friends, who would never, ever buy from her anyway. And she had that kind of group of people in the back of her head while she was preparing for creating content for her launch. And this, I think this happens a lot. It also happens to me, still happens, and it happens to many people. So being very clear on your ideal client, and actually just make a list of 5, 10, 20 people, 100 people that you want to work with, is going to be so much easier to progress in your launch. So really do that, and be very, very clear on that with yourself. Point 2 is living in alignment. So when we attach too much to our ego, we can become disconnected from our true selves and what we truly, truly desire. And this can lead to a sense of disalignment in our lives and feeling of being stuck or unfulfilled. This is, for instance, what happens when you're surrounded by people who have a different worldview than you, and that you're kind of being sucked into their world and thinking, oh, you know what? For instance, I should have a degree. It can't be a bachelor, it has to be a master's. Oh, actually, I have to go for my PhD. I have to do many talks. I have to publish a lot. I have to, learn everything before I'm going to do something, because that's, what people expect of me. And actually, so by learning to let go of your ego, because this is your ego, right? So what I just said, all those, things like about bachelor, master, that's your ego talking to you. It's not the truth. It's very annoying. I remember the first time, I was much younger when I thought, oh, there is actually not just one truth. So that was, I think, when I was 8 or 10 or something. And now I'm discovering that that's really not, that's really true, that there is no truth. And also not of your feelings. So if you're letting go of that ego, you can align yourself with your true purpose and live a more meaningful and fulfilling life. And that's my goal. I don't want you to follow the flock. And if people are saying this strategy really worked for me, there's nothing wrong with you if it doesn't work for you. You just haven't found yet what was yours to begin with. So an example is, let's say you've been working in a job that doesn't align with your values and passions. Then, once you are actually, embracing your vulnerability in this and embracing, that it might not work for you. I also work helping some people with that. You can actually, by first doing that, you can actually explore new opportunities that align with your true self. So you may even discover a new career path that brings you so much more joy and fulfillment. And maybe, the job that you're doing right now, because, that's what you studied or something, or maybe you're taking over a business, or you're working in the family business, for instance, in Succession. I mean, oh my... Would I love to coach those characters? I think, well, actually, I should do a separate episode about this, because I do have a lot to say about this. And, actually, this is maybe a fun fact for you, is that I'm coming from a family business. So it was actually, it's a very long time ago, and it's not in the family anymore. I think it was kind of in the 70s or 80s that it wasn't part of the family anymore. It still is actually a family business, but as it goes, throughout the years, the family becomes bigger and bigger, and so I was actually part of a family business of retailers. So when I was born, I wasn't a part of it yet, but I do know of that history. So yeah, actually, whilst I'm saying this, I think I should record a succession on episode and think how I can kind of make the connection to myself. But anyway, let me know if you would like that, or if you're saying no, I just want business advice. The third point I want to make is and I already said it, is to embrace being vulnerable, letting go, and that can be very uncomfortable. So I think, stepping into that vulnerability can really be a source of strength and connection with others. And, by allowing yourself to be that, and by stepping out of your comfort zone or your danger zone, you can build deeper relationships and achieve greater success. So when I, for instance, started my coaching business in the first place, I wasn't having, of course, because I was just starting out, as deep as a connection as I'm having right now with my clients. And also, because I'm sharing also some of my personal experiences, it's almost, parallel. I started therapy in May, and I started my business in March. So it was almost a parallel process, but I'm really taking also my learnings from the therapy into my coaching business. I'm not saying I'm not sharing everything that's there, but if there's sometimes a connection to be made, and then I'm saying, what, to my client, what, I actually understand what you're talking about, and I'm, for instance, struggling with this too, or I recognize this in this pattern, then it's I'm creating a much deeper connection. And as a coach, I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm saying, what, I'm a human being too, I understand you, and then putting down people's guards. And so, for instance, an example is, let's say you're considering giving a presentation at work or hosting your event, but you feel nervous and unsure if you're ready. Let go of that ego, and let go of the outcome, because you can't control it. You can actually, by that, you can approach the presentation with more authenticity and confidence, and maybe also say, what, you guys, I was a little bit nervous for this presentation, because I always am. And, you would really help me by, by knowing this and, kind of breaking the ice there. And so I believe, when you're doing that, you can really create greater growth and personal fulfillment. And Gabby Bernstein says, the ego is the part of you that wants to protect you, but it is also the part that holds you back. So I encourage you to release your attachment to the ego and to the outcome, embrace vulnerability, and take that next steps towards your goals. And also, if you don't have to do this alone, find people you can talk to, maybe find a friend, maybe find a therapist, maybe find a coach. Sometimes I feel like people think they should solve something all by themselves, and that's not true. It is not true. You don't have to do it all yourselves. You don't have to know everything. And I think it's the way that we're all raised, and it's a way to protect yourself. But as I said, the comfort zone can really be a danger zone. And because, there's there's so much, that is out there for you. And if you're, keeping the door closed, if you're staying in, imagine your comfort zone is a house, and you're staying in, then how can you expect that anything good will come to you? And Mel Robbins also says this, if you want things to change, then why do you believe that things will change if you are not changing? And yeah, I mean, I would say keep exploring and keep growing. And now it's time for one of your questions.
Hey Sarah, my name is Ida. I was wondering, what does it mean for you to thrive? For me, it's staying in motion, learning new things, and creating value somehow. I'm curious to hear your answer.
I really love this question, and because this is about Thriving, one of my programs that I'm hosting currently, and it's a pilot. And I did get this question, and I thought, yes, I want to answer this on the podcast. And I agree, Ida, with you on always staying in motion, and that's also a little bit what my podcast of today is about. It's about staying in motion, accepting that it will never be perfect. Perfectionism is a big one as well, and just really also one of the things that I believe, because I've also listened to a podcast with an interview with Jay Shetty and Deepak Chopra, and they were talking about the difference between happiness and success. And I agree with them that there is a difference. Happiness is the way that you feel, and success is also a way that, others perceive you as. And I think so for me, thriving is to really feel good. and this is difficult, right? It is difficult to find what really makes you feel good. And this has been really, since my therapy, this has been 1 year, hard work. And to really be honest to myself, and and that's not it's not always fun, right? So it's not always fun to figure that out and to understand what you're really here for, or what you really, came to do, or what is your role in the world, or what role do you want to play? Because, like it or not, you are playing a role, or having a role in society. You are always connected. And yeah, so it's very much to me about, how I feel. So when I feel like I'm thriving, and this is mindset work, and I'm working on this every day. And one of the things that really helped me were the gratitude exercises that I'm sharing, throughout different episodes in the podcast, but also in the Thriving program. To really sit down and write down, because then it's out of my head. Write down what I'm grateful for. And this was very difficult at the beginning because, I was having, I was diagnosed with something that I really didn't like. I was angry. I thought that, why did this happen to me? Those things. And, there were so many, I've struggled in my life, and, to begin with the gratitude exercise was very difficult for me, but now I'm doing it for over a year now. And I think that for me, that's the biggest game changer. But there are so many exercises that I can share and that we can do. So that is thriving for me. So it's really about feeling good and not portraying something like a success. What is success? Or I have my own definition of success, and everything that I'm doing within that definition, is helping me thrive. Now I have a question for you. My question for you today is quite simple. What is something that is currently, something that you want to do, but in some way you're not doing it? And so, for instance, I'm I'm opening up the doors for, I have opened up the doors for something called the Big Business Club. This is an invite-only follow-up to the mastermind program. And I was thinking of the tagline, and I think it should be something like, I'm not, I'm just sharing this with you, building in public. It should be something like, I'm worth it to level up, or I'm worth it to step into my next level. Because I think, feeling like you're worth it to work on yourself, and it is going to be hard, but that is the key to me personally. I believe once you believe you're worth it, once you believe that you can actually think about yourself and take care of yourself, and from that you can do so much more for others. Because if you're unhappy with where you are, then you're never going to be able to open up to others. So yeah, that's my question for you today. What is something that is keeping you, what you're not doing? And next week I'm hosting a workshop as one of my favorite ones, Big Business, Big Life. It's also for people who are not running a business but are having a career. And it's a 2-day workshop, May 2, May 3 at 8 p.m. Amsterdam time. And it's a 1 hour, twice a 1 hour workshop. And I'm going to help you with that. And, if you would like to join, you're very welcome. It's 49 euros. And, I've had so many great responses, because also, you can do this all yourself. Definitely. It's an easy question. That's why I'm also hosting the podcast. But if you're thinking, what, actually, I do want to indulge myself. I do want to take this more seriously. And this is what all my clients are saying to me. Yes, I really think I deserve it. And you do too. Thank you for listening to Big Business with Sarah. If you've enjoyed today's episode, leave a 5-star review and hit subscribe. If you're ready for your next step in business, you can find out how to work with me in the show notes. Do not forget to submit your coaching question for one of my next episodes. Have a happy day.